If you have ever experienced goosebumps running down your spine when stories of lost civilizations, mysterious artifacts casting doubt on human history, or enigmatic traces hidden in the eternal silence of ages come to mind, then you are exactly where you should be. This is a realm of captivating mysteries that make the heart race and provoke thoughts about the undiscovered secrets of the past. Today, we will embark on an exciting journey through the world of unexplained enigmas. From ancient, forgotten structures located in barren deserts to secret symbols guarded for centuries in the shadows of abandoned temples and ruins. Prepare for questions that will present you with formidable challenges and let your imagination run free. We will try to uncover pieces of secrets hidden beyond the surface of the obvious. On this journey, we will confront mysteries that remain unsolved to this day, with each discovery potentially leading to new questions. Fasten your seatbelts as we venture into a realm of wonders that cannot be fully understood or explained with modern knowledge and logic. But first, it is crucial to make an important choice: to stop and reflect, or to continue forward, immersing ourselves in the mysteries of the past. In this video, you will find many intriguing stories and enigmas that have already piqued the interest of scientists and hypothesis enthusiasts alike. We will start with the legend of cave giants, about whom terrifying tales have been told. Tales whose echoes still resonate in the memories of many researchers. The first mystery we will face is the enigma of the cave giants in what is now known as Lavlock. In ancient times, roughly thousands of years ago, this area in the arid region of Nevada was inhabited by the Paiute tribe. They passed down legends from generation to generation about the existence of unusual giant forms of life called Saita. According to their stories, these beings were not just large and powerful, but had bright red hair, which immediately set them apart from other inhabitants of those lands. According to traditions, these giants were not merely terrifying, they were dangerous and ferocious creatures that spread fear and terror everywhere. People feared them and avoided encounters because these giants hunted humans and fed on them, turning their victims into prey of horror and death. To stop the persecution by these dreadful beings, the Paiute people and other local tribes united in a common effort. In a decisive moment, they drove the giants into deep caves and, using smoke and fire, annihilated them completely, thus ending the terrible threat. This legend has been passed down through generations, becoming part of common folklore, until the early 20th century when archaeological discoveries in the Lavlock cave prompted questions about the veracity of the stories recorded in folk legends. In 1900, a certain archaeologist named David Pugh and his colleague James Hart began exploring the cave as part of their routine work, collecting bat droppings and guano for agricultural use. Their task seemed straightforward, but during their work, they stumbled upon something much more significant and mysterious. Instead of the usual tiny fragments and bones, they found thousands of strange, unusual artifacts. Among them were woven baskets, which could have been used for storing or transporting various items, different types of bird traps, and enormous sandals measuring approximately 15 inches in length, almost 38 centimeters. These discoveries immediately sparked interest and discussion among scientists and enthusiasts alike. The following year, official excavations were initiated under the leadership of the renowned researcher Lowenald, representing the University of California. His team continued excavations in Lavlock Cave and collected over 10,000 different artifacts. Among these, archaeologists found human bones displaying unusual features. Some skeletons were notably large, and the mummified remains with reddish hair were quite unusual in appearance. Some of them exceeded 6 feet in height, about 2 meters and 10 centimeters. These findings renewed interest and supported the hypothesis that the region had been inhabited by giants, as told by the Puti tribes. However, after many years, most of these preliminary and significant discoveries mysteriously vanished, leaving more questions than answers. The more archaeologists studied Lavlock Cave, the more it became clear that it contained a true treasure trove of ancient secrets, despite efforts to conceal or destroy some of the evidence. The cave's name, Lavlock, relates to its length, extending over 45 meters in length and about 9 meters wide, spaces where archaeologists found traces of ancient activity. Among the discovered objects were gigantic sandals, imprints of very large hands carved into stones, and traces of fire left near the entrance. All of this further confirmed that the legend of giants could have a basis in reality. Early reports prepared by researchers mention mummies with reddish hair, such as a woman about 2 meters tall and a man taller than her. However, modern scientists suggest that the reddish hue found on the remains could be the result of mineral oxidation or changes over time. Overall, in their opinion, the height of the discovered skeletons was closer to 1 meter 70 centimeters, which does not make them such giants as folk legends claimed. The process of studying and uncovering the secrets of the Lavlock Cave took an entire century and remains a subject of debate and discussion among archaeologists, historians, and enthusiasts of historical mysteries. Excavations carried out at the very beginning of the 20th century, in 1900, were largely poorly documented and often lacked detail. Many of the artifacts discovered either disappeared over time or ended up in the hands of private collectors, preventing scientists from studying them systematically further. This lack of data complicated a comprehensive understanding of the historical activity at this important site. Nevertheless, subsequent research conducted years later confirmed that this cave was used by humans for nearly 3,000 years, from approximately the year 1500 BCE to the 440th century CE. This indicates that it served as a constant shelter, sanctuary, or habitat for various peoples over a very long historical period. Among the finds were unique and the oldest duck taxidermies in the world, indicating a high level of craftsmanship and possibly ritual or utilitarian practices of the ancient inhabitants of the region. Modern analysis methods, particularly DNA studies, revealed that some human bones found in the cave belonged to Eurasian peoples. These findings suggest that the population who used this site had contacts and connections with peoples across Eurasia. At the same time, despite all these intriguing discoveries, there was no confirmation of the existence of giants, gigantic beings who, according to legends, supposedly inhabited these lands. Some large skeletons that were once displayed or exhibited at the Humboldt Museum have been recognized and reassessed as the remains of ordinary people or animals. Such reassessment demonstrates respect for local peoples and their traditions and an effort to avoid misinterpretations of scientific data. As a result, any further attempts to identify or prove the existence of unusual human or other forms of life in ancient times become complex and sometimes fruitless tasks. Meanwhile, around the legend of the so-called Sitach, mysterious giants or mighty people, various theories have developed. Some researchers believe these legends are not mere myths, but reflect features of human development in ancient times. In this case, it is assumed that Lavlock-era people were simply taller than average, influenced by more balanced nutrition and a rich diet, contributing to their growth and development. In some cases, red hair, mentioned in ancient legends, could have arisen naturally as a hereditary trait or be caused by environmental factors such as soil type, climate conditions, or sunlight spectrum. It is also possible that the sandals mentioned in the legends belonged to a person about 2 meters tall, or conversely, that these ancient stories have been embellished, romanticized, and mythologized over time, making the reality more vivid and impressive. Some historians and supporters of religious beliefs argue that evidence of pyramids, fire, and red hair convincingly confirm the truth of these memories. while other researchers believe that all of this is merely myth, folklore, or legends that arose from attempts to explain the unexplained phenomena of ancient times. However, the scientific approach does not confirm any of these versions, and the question of the existence of the giant Lavlock remains open. Regardless of this, legends about them vividly illustrate the richness and mystery of folktales characteristic of ancient mythology. If giants indeed existed, then their image serves as a reminder of the incredible variability and unusualness of the ancient human race. Through them, the memory of powerful enemies causing both fear and admiration has persisted among the peoples of Puyti or other ethnic groups. The story of the White Shaman's Rock is also considered mysterious. It embodies secret symbols that serve as a memory of the earliest cultural layers that existed in this region. This commemorative rock, formed thousands of years ago, is strongly connected with solar and wind influences, shaping and destroying its mysterious structures from mother-of-pearl stones. These rocks are located where the Pacus River flows into the Rio Grande's branch, preserving in time and space the memory of hunters and gatherers who lived in these lands many centuries ago. The petroglyphs found in the lower part of the Picus Canyon are remarkable for their variety, richness of motifs, and techniques. Among more than 300 sites with rock art, the shelter of the White Shaman stands out for its special imaginative power and deep meaning. This shelter, respected for its uniqueness, is located only a few meters above the ground in a small rocky niche hidden from view. The interior of this small refuge, about 8 meters long and 4 meters high, rises above the surrounding terrain, becoming a home for a rich gallery of images. On the walls are depicted humans and animals, and abstract symbols are recorded, carrying a multitude of signs and meanings. When the sun sets in the sky, its warm, fiery colors seem to spread across the stone surface, creating an atmosphere of special charm. In the moonlight, the figures become pale, and the headless figure, known as the White Shaman, seems to come to life, filling the space with mystical shades of meaning. This painting, created in the style of the River Pez, dates back to a period between 2,500 years BC and 500 years AD, encompassing a broad span of time where various cultural and artistic influences intertwine. For many years, archaeologists and scholars have attempted to decipher the hidden meaning of these mysterious images. Some believed they were the creations of shamans, expressing their visions, hallucinations, and experiences related to rituals devoted to the plant mescap, which possesses mystical properties. Others, in 1992, proposed a more plausible hypothesis. Artist Caroline Boyd, who undertook the study of this rock shelter, immediately noticed the exceptional craftsmanship and carefully thought-out concept behind the images. In her view, the White Shaman is not merely a random drawing or a random stain, but a deliberate and significant part of ancient history, filled with mysteries and symbols that deserve to be interpreted as a modern work of art. Boyd made the challenging decision to leave behind her career as an artist and dedicate nearly 30 years of her life to uncovering the secrets surrounding the mysterious White Shaman. The task proved quite difficult. To reach this place, one had to travel a considerable distance, cross the lifeless Chaya Desert, trek more than 1.5 miles through harsh and often exhausting weather, and then descend a rocky ledge nearly 76 meters high under the blazing sun, with temperatures reaching up to 38 degrees Celsius. Only the most persistent and genuinely passionate individuals dared undertake such a challenging journey, as each obstacle demanded great perseverance and inner strength. And yet, when the traveler finally stood before the ancient fresco, all previous excitement faded. The world around seemed to stand still, and the heart filled with awe. An incredible scene unfolded before him. Some figures tower up to 20 feet high, creating monumental images, while others are just delicate lines, like unspoken stories that appear to transcend time and space. This fresco seemed to transport viewers to distant ages, allowing them to hear the whispers of people long gone. One visitor was so deeply struck by this image that they said, "I feel like I hear the quiet voice of ancient people echoing within these walls, like the whisper of past eras." After decades of meticulous research, Boyd became convinced that the depiction of the white shaman is not merely a vibrant work of art, but an ancient story about the birth of the sun, the beginning of time, and how the world was created. Part 6 of 49. In her 2016 book titled Frescoco, she suggested that the symbols carefully engraved on the rock reflect the beliefs of the peoples near Toscan, ancestors of tribes such as the Choli and Nahua in Mexico. The most significant clue came from a shaman named Huicholi, who, upon seeing the fresco, wept, recognizing in it the myth of his people's creation. These symbols, such as a winding snake, representing the boundary between the material and spiritual worlds, or figures in feathered headdresses depicting a shaman's journey, have been carved into the stones for over 4,000 years. Because of this, the white shaman can be considered one of the oldest surviving images in North America. However, not all experts share Boyd's enthusiasm. Some archaeologists believe these drawings could be related to hunting rituals or serve as a demonstration of the shaman's power in ancient societies. Others adopt a more cautious stance, warning that modern ideas and myths do not always accurately reflect the true meaning of ancient images. The use of contemporary mythological concepts to explain the enigmatic art of ancient peoples often distorts or embellishes its original significance. Despite this, even the most skeptical researchers agree that the fresco of the white shaman is a unique treasure, crucial and irreplaceable for preserving this land's cultural heritage. Currently, it is protected by the Vid Museum and the Shumla Archaeological Research Center, which was founded by Boyd herself. Here, from September to May, excursions are held for those willing to risk their safety for the chance to see this truly majestic masterpiece. With scientific progress, more questions arise about this mystery and the enigmatic image of the white shaman, demanding new research. Are we truly grasping all the meanings embedded in this ancient art? Or are we only skimming the surface of a vanished world, unable to fully immerse ourselves in its complete content? In 2046, exploring the Bong Mountains, a writer named Boyu made a remarkable discovery in a remote and difficult-to-access area near the town of Deling, located in Qihai Province, China. He entered a cave approximately 6 meters high, which seemed to be carefully carved by human hands. Stepping through the threshold, he could not contain his astonishment. The stone walls and floor were literally covered with numerous rusty metal pipes, ranging in diameter from a few millimeters to nearly 40 centimeters. Some of the metal pipes found in this area extended beyond the cave, trailing along the slope of the mountain, eventually reaching the shoreline of the salty Tasang Lake, located about 80 meters from the main search point. At first glance, all of this resembled a complex system created by humans or something similar with a specific purpose. The surprise was intensified by the fact that this area was completely isolated and almost devoid of vegetation, as it was located at an altitude of just under 3,000 meters. Archaeologists noted that there were no traces of ancient human presence or activity in this territory for tens of thousands of years, which made the appearance of metal remnants in such a remote place all the more mysterious. In the 21st century, following reports in Chinese media about the discovery, a group of scientists began conducting a systematic investigation. The Beijing Institute of Geological Sciences collected samples of these pipes for comprehensive analysis and to determine their composition. The studies showed that in the overwhelming majority of cases, these metallic structures consisted of iron oxide, indicating a significant natural reserve of this mineral in the environment. However, about 8% of the samples remained unidentified and raised additional questions. The most impressive discovery was that radiocarbon dating methods suggested these pipelines could be approximately 150,000 years old, dating back to a time when humans were just beginning to work with fire, create primitive tools, and master the basics of life. None of the scientists could provide a clear explanation for how such a complex and well-thought-out system of iron pipes could have arisen at such an ancient age, especially in a place where no signs of ancient metallurgy or metalworking had previously been found. Several hypotheses were proposed during the investigations. Some experts suggested that these were remnants of a long-lost civilization that disappeared without a trace, while others entertained a more fantastical theory, believing these structures could be the result of activities by extraterrestrials who visited Earth in deep antiquity. In this area, researchers also observed the presence of a pyramid-shaped mountain and a nearby huge salt lake, which suggests possible secret connections and hidden mysteries of the site. Some pointed out that these pipelines could be part of an unknown alien base once left on our planet. However, most scientists lean towards more terrestrial explanations. Extended studies established that traces of plant matter and even annual rings were preserved inside these pipes, suggesting they were fossilized roots of ancient trees. Over time, they mineralized, acquiring a metallic structure due to the unique, iron-rich environment. Similar finds of fossilized plant remains had been discovered in other locations. For example, in Louisiana, where such fossils were also found inside metal blocks. Moreover, studies have shown that these pipes contain a significant amount of carbon and other minerals, supporting the hypothesis of their natural origin. Despite the seemingly plausible nature of this theory, many questions remain unanswered. Why do all these structures have the same size, are arranged in a manner suggesting they were placed according to precise orders, and how did they end up in a location that in ancient times was a marshy area but is now completely dried out? Over 20 years ago, a mysterious site was discovered, which was named the Bong Tubes. Some samples extracted from it exhibited faint signs of radioactivity, further fueling interest in this area. Although the Bong Tubes have become a popular tourist attraction, their remote location and proximity to a military-guarded zone complicate comprehensive scientific research. Some geologists have hypothesized that the solution to this ancient mystery may lie in the complex geological history of the Plata-Shanghai region, where, in their opinion, powerful ancient floods may have occurred in recent times, leaving behind rich iron deposits. So-called iron-rich sediments capable of concealing many secrets of the past. For enthusiasts of mysterious objects and artifacts, these Bong Tubes undoubtedly serve as a reminder that our magical and amazing urge to explore the world around us remains undiminished. In fact, many unexplored corners of our planet hide their secrets and mysteries, which are inaccessible to ordinary people, regardless of their knowledge or scientific achievements. These porcelain fossils, ancient artifacts, and evidence of vanished civilizations are constantly woven into an endless web of secrets and enigmas, attracting extraordinary interest from scientists, explorers, and adventure lovers alike. For example, Easter Island is a tiny, almost unnoticed landmass on the map, located in the Pacific Ocean, covering just over 2,300 square kilometers. Its distance from the mainland is about 3,000 kilometers, making it one of the most secluded corners of the Earth. The so-called Rapa Nui Island, known for its extreme isolation, is considered one of the most remote inhabited places on our planet. Its dimensions are very small, approximately 22 kilometers long and 11 wide, which does not allow it to be regarded as a large continent or a densely populated city. Yet it is precisely on such seemingly small and remote islands that some of the most astonishing and mysterious stories are hidden, which humanity has been trying to uncover for centuries. Among them, a special place is occupied by the story of significant archaeological discoveries, namely the legends and archives recounting the existence of giant statues known as moai. These monumental stone carvings, some reaching 10 meters in height and weighing dozens of tons, retained an unmistakable cultural and historical significance. For the first time, these mysterious statues were observed and documented by Europeans in the 18th century, when Dutch navigator Jacob Roggeveen, landing on the island exactly on Easter Sunday, decided to name it Easter Island. In his reports, he described the visual scene he saw: imposing stone figures set against the jungle and volcanic landscape, as well as the local inhabitants who, day after day, showed reverence before them, worshipping these statues as embodiments of spiritual forces or gods. This historical event made a profound impression, discovering a new, enigmatic world full of astonishing finds. However, just a few centuries later, most of these seemingly indestructible stone giants had been toppled and destroyed, lying on the wet ground or scattered across the island. This raises the key question: what truly happened within this story? Why and how did entire portions of this mystical heritage disappear or get destroyed? According to modern archaeologists, most of the moai statues were carved from volcanic stone, quarried from the so-called Rano Raraku volcano, one of the most active and well-known volcanic craters on the island. Over 95% of them were made from volcanic ash, which was relatively easy to work with, making the process of sculpting less laborious, despite their impressive sizes. At the same time, a special, harder, and more durable basalt was used for some unique statues, such as the famous Hakahana sculpture, now housed in the British Museum. On these statues, one can observe red stone headdresses, equivalent to hair and spiritual power of chiefs or high leaders, symbolizing their status and inner strength. But the most intriguing question of all is, how did the ancient island inhabitants, whose technological tools were very primitive, relying only on stone tools and ropes, manage to move these gigantic boulders, some weighing as much as 86 tons, over long distances and position them in specific locations? One of the most popular hypotheses suggests that the inhabitants used special ropes to move the statues by swinging and lifting them. According to this theory, the statues were uprighted by tying ropes around their bodies on both sides and slowly swinging them back and forth. Gradually, with the efforts of a small group of people, about 10 or a few individuals, they managed to shift the sculptures across the island's complex and uneven terrain. Modern experimental studies, in which replicas of statues weighing around 5 tons were used, confirmed the feasibility of this transportation method, indicating its practical potential when properly organized. Overall, this technique made it possible to move such massive objects even with minimal resources and very modest tools. Legends and beliefs handed down to our days claim that the statues could move on their own, seemingly obeying a mystical force called mana, spiritual energy that, at that time, according to local residents, could even control stone giants. Some historians and ethnographers suggest that these statues were moved on logs or rollers made of wood, which led to the island suffering from active deforestation. The arrival of the first people on the island, about 1,000 years ago, completely changed its appearance. At a time when tall palms and dense forests thrived on the island, the Rapa Nui saw it as a truly paradisiacal place, rich in nature, fertile, and scenic. However, by the 10th century, that is, by the year 1160, the island had almost lost its original fertility. This decline was likely related to the need to expand agricultural land and the demand for wood to create and transport the giant statues. Perhaps, in search of materials and resources, people cut down the forests, leading to environmental degradation and the drying out of fertile soils. As a result, a picture has formed that, over time, the island looked completely different from the early centuries of settlement, and these changes influenced the development of the local culture, contributing to the disappearance of traditional practices and a population decline. One of the most mysterious and discussed questions in archaeology remains the reason for the sudden halt in the construction of the great statues on Easter Island after the arrival of Europeans in the 18th century. This moment becomes especially striking, considering the scale and artistic complexity of the stone monuments created here. To this day, numerous unfinished sculptures can be seen on the island, among which the giant statue named El Gigante stands out brightly. This stone colossus reaches 70 feet in height, more than 21 meters, and weighs approximately 200 tons. The massiveness of this work and the exceptional labor intensity required for its creation evoke genuine awe and admiration among researchers. Many scholars speculate that the reasons for completing or halting the work may lie in complex historical circumstances, in military conflicts, epidemics, devastating diseases that struck the population, or in the exhaustion of natural resources necessary for continuing such grand construction projects. The history of Easter Island is filled with tragic events and dramatic changes. After the initial encounter with Europeans, travelers and sailors who had arrived here, the island was almost completely destroyed. European contact brought devastating consequences, from diseases previously unknown to the local inhabitants to large-scale waves of the slave trade and colonial exploitation. All of this led to the complete depletion of the native population. By 1870, the number of indigenous people had decreased from several thousand to just 11 individuals. This terrible decline was accompanied by a wave of internal conflicts, possible uprisings, and a crisis of faith in the divine forces that had once been revered and served as sources of strength and unity for society. Remnants of ancient statues, such as the marble or stone figure of Ho'akanai, were taken off the island, sparking long-standing debates over the restitution of these cultural treasures. To this day, discussions continue about whether it is worth returning the statues to Rapa Nui or preserving them where they are now, many of which have already become part of the international cultural heritage. Today, despite these tragic historical events, Rapa Nui holds a well-deserved place on the UNESCO World Heritage List. Each year, it attracts thousands of tourists eager to see the unique monuments of ancient masters, experience the atmosphere of a mysterious past, and delve into the history of this enigmatic island. Thanks to the efforts of local residents and archaeologists, many statues have been restored, reinforced, and prepared for future generations. Their restoration has become an important task, combining scientific research and volunteer initiatives. Turning to another aspect of history and archaeology, it is worth mentioning recent discoveries related to an ancient civilization located on the other side of the world, in China. In the 19th century, specifically in 1929, in one of the quiet and picturesque villages of Sichuan province in southern China, a peasant digging a water supply channel accidentally uncovered unusual finds. Fragments of jade and other stone artifacts, which at first seemed to him simply to be strange stones. He had no idea that he was opening the door to a long-forgotten civilization. However, real interest in these discoveries was awakened only a few decades later, in 1986. At that time, workers involved in constructing brick structures in the same area found two enormous ritual pits containing over 1,000 unique artifacts. Among them stood out giant bronze masks with bulging eyes, which seemed frightening yet very expressive. Human statues over 2.5 meters tall were discovered, along with a 4-meter bronze tree decorated with birds on its branches. In addition, Archaeologists uncovered numerous items made of golden jade, representing unique examples of ancient art. All of this belonged to a culture now known as Sunindui, which existed approximately from 2700 BCE until the first year of the New Era. Unlike the well-known dynasties of China, such as the Shang in the northern part of the country, the people of Sunindui left behind almost no written sources, making the discovered bronze artifact especially valuable and important for understanding this ancient society. Thanks to these findings, studying artifacts from Sunindui has provided researchers with a unique opportunity to shed light on the mysteries of the past. None of these discoveries have modern equivalents among findings made in China, significantly enhancing their historical significance. One particularly remarkable find is a large bronze mask discovered in the 21st century, in 2021. Its size is impressive. The eyes are protruding, and the ears are huge and hanging. The appearance of this mask resembles some divine or supernatural figure, seemingly awakening from ancient pages of history. Scientists hypothesize that such masks were likely used in rituals related to ancestor worship or appeals to divine forces. It is possible that the masks were mounted on wooden poles, making them even more imposing, and were worn during ceremonies or rites as a means of communication with the invisible world. A unique feature of these artifacts is the presence of traces of red paint, which archaeologists interpret as evidence of the mask's participation in special, sacred ceremonies that held great significance for the ancient inhabitants of Sunindui. Another noteworthy discovery is a bronze statue about 2 meters tall, depicting a figure with massive bracelets on its wrists. The hands of this statue are arranged as if it is holding some sacred object or symbol of power and authority. In the 21st century, in 2019, even more astonishing discoveries were made during new excavations at Sunindui. Archaeologists uncovered additional, previously unknown pits located near those previously found. Over 2 years, from 2022 to 2024, 6 new, smaller, and less prominent but very rich artifacts were identified alongside the already discovered ritual burials. The total volume of materials collected from these pits exceeded 13,000 items, unique examples of ancient craft and art. Of immense value to historians and archaeologists seeking to understand the technologies and worldview of the ancient peoples who inhabited the region at that time. All these discoveries underscore how much still remains unknown about distant civilizations and cultures that have left their mark on human history. Among the many unique discoveries found in the ancient layers of lost civilizations, one stands out in particular: a massive half-kilogram golden mask, which, due to its age and significance, is considered the oldest example of silk found in the Sichuan region. This find generates genuine interest among scientists and researchers because it opens a window into the distant past, allowing us to understand the rituals and spiritual practices revered by ancient peoples. In addition, among the archaeological artifacts is a mysterious bronze statue depicting a human head connected to a serpent's body. Its interpretation and meaning are subjects of much debate, as the excavation leader suggests that such a masterpiece could have served as part of special ceremonies. According to experts, these rituals aimed to connect the cosmic and spiritual realms, including linking the human world with the worlds of deities or beings worshipped as supernatural forces. An equally intriguing fact is that most of the discovered archaeological objects were deliberately broken or burned before burial. Archaeologists tend to believe that such acts of destruction may have had symbolic significance, serving as part of ritual ceremonies performed to purify or facilitate the soul's transition to another world. Nevertheless, the reasons for the sudden and unjustified oblivion of the ancient city, covering more than 6.5 square kilometers, remain a mystery. This city, which existed for about 1,500 years, disappeared nearly a year before the Common Era, prompting scholars to question the causes of its precise demise and the mysterious events that preceded its forgetfulness. The relevance of these events continues to be actively discussed in scientific circles, giving rise to numerous hypotheses and assumptions. Some experts believe it was merely a large trading hub that significantly influenced the culture of the Shang era and contributed to the development of southeastern parts of the ancient world, while others suggest it could have been an independent state lost in the mists of time. Among the unusual artifacts found among the ruins are snake statues with human heads, as well as ancient ritual vessels for wine, indicating a complex and diverse cultural exchange that perhaps involved peoples connected with the Zhou dynasty or even more ancient cultures. It is also possible that these discoveries are only the tip of the iceberg, with deeper secrets linked to Central Asian peoples or ancient India, which are occasionally associated with the region based on similarities in images or symbols. However, there is currently no solid evidence to support these hypotheses, and scientists continue their search for confirmation. Among the efforts to preserve and promote the heritage of this region is a project to include it on UNESCO's World Heritage List. Modern museums are showcasing an increasingly rich collection of archaeological finds, which continue to grow thanks to new excavations and research. Despite advancements in research, the question of the causes behind the disappearance of the ancient Sangzendui civilization remains open and unresolved. Were these final rituals, pits and sacrifices, the starting point, the culmination, or even the last hope before a sudden disaster? Or perhaps they symbolized a transition into a new era, initiated after a tragedy. At the heart of this mystery are the giant heads of the Obika people, whose images continue to evoke awe and wonder. The story of their discovery began in 1862, when a farmer plowing his land stumbled upon an unusual stone protruding from the ground. Upon closer excavation, he realized that it was not just a stone, but a human face carved out of rock. The size of this stone facial portrait exceeded 5 feet in height, and the features were so expressive, thick lips, broad nose, and deeply set eyes, that it astonished the imagination. Thus began a long journey of uncovering the giant artistic monuments, as later 17 additional heads were found, dating back approximately 35,000 years BCE. These massive stone head sculptures are the tragic legacy of the great Obika civilization, which left behind mysterious and impressive works of art. The most famous among them are enormous heads, ranging from over 1 meter to 3 meters in height, weighing up to 50 tons. All were carved from basalt, a durable and heavy volcanic stone quarried in the Tux Mountains and transported over distances of more than 90 miles, sometimes via rivers on wooden rafts, then hauled over land on logs. This labor-intensive and complex process demonstrates the advanced craftsmanship and organizational skills of ancient artisans. Creating such a statue required the participation of up to 1,500 workers, operating continuously over several months. These were large-scale projects demanding not only skill, but also remarkable cohesion among laborers. In special workshops, harder figures were crafted from materials like nephrite and obsidian, further showcasing increased technological sophistication and artistic level. These stone heads remain one of the greatest testimonies to the existence of ancient cultures, capable of producing works comparable to those of well-known civilizations, such as the Mayans or Aztecs, despite the geographic and temporal differences that separate these cultures. The massive head sculptures impress with their scale and execution technique. They are essentially monumental monuments, reaching over 1 meter and sometimes 3 meters in height. The weight of some ranges from 6 to 15 tons. These sculptures are carved from basalt, an exceptionally hard rock mined in the Tux Mountains more than 90 miles from their original sites. Considering that when these objects were created, there were no wheels, metal tools, or modern technologies, scientists believe that the stones used for their construction were melted in rivers on wooden rafts and then rolled over rough terrain on logs. This labor-intensive method speaks to the extraordinary organization of ancient craftsmen. Building each individual statue required continuous work from a team of about 1,500 people, working for several months to complete such a large-scale project. Figures made from harder stones, such as anhydrite and obsidian, proved especially valuable as they were used to create the most complex and expressive images. All these achievements demonstrate the high level of development of ancient civilizations, which, through their craftsmanship and dedication, produced magnificent masterpieces worthy of comparison with the greatest ancient monuments. Sometimes, surface processing techniques involved the use of manure combined with wet sand and reed, which allowed artists to create special decorative effects. These methods, used to give the surface a particular appearance, served not only practical purposes, but also enabled artisans to add a sense of mystery to their creations, hidden in subtle details. When creating these artificially crafted face images, masters aimed to imbue them with more than just simple likenesses. They incorporated their own enigmatic elements, transforming each work into a small masterpiece with a unique character. Each of these heads, crafted with skill and meticulous attention to detail, possesses its own uniqueness. One can notice distinctive features, characteristic only of that specific sculpture, as well as unique headdresses decorating them. Some of these images are adorned with jaguar claws, symbols of strength and power, while others feature geometric patterns that, according to researchers, might have had profound sacred or cult meanings, generating various theories about the true purpose of these statues. Some experts suggest that these head sculptures depict cult or noble figures, possibly representing their rulers or shamans. Certain scholars believe that these heads were created post-mortem, after the death of important individuals, to preserve their memory through ritual practices. The headdresses adorning the figures are thought to symbolize authority or status, and may also hint at the participants' involvement in sacred ceremonies, such as ball games, a popular ritual attribute of ancient Mesoamerican cultures. Other researchers propose that some heads may have served as ritual objects for sacrifices, as evidenced by their flatbacks, resembling altars, where sacrificial offerings or symbolic signs could be placed. For many decades, these head sculptures have preserved unexplored secrets of their history and origin. Some of them have been deliberately damaged or even relocated from their original sites, possibly to strip power from past rulers, mark a change in authority within society, or for other ritual purposes related to shifts in social structure and power. In 2009, an unusual event took place in the town of Lenta. 3 members of a religious cult performed a special ritual on the statues, pouring salt and oil over them, which unfortunately led to their mechanical damage and deterioration. Previously, hypotheses connected these figures to distant Africa, primarily based on outward features, thick lips and broad noses, characteristic of certain peoples of that region. However, modern research, utilizing anthropological and archaeological methods, has demonstrated that these traits are typical of the indigenous peoples of Tabas and Veracruz, who inhabit those regions. Today, most archaeologists unanimously agree that, considering all findings, these statues are exclusively a legacy of Mesoamerican culture, created by the hands and minds of the ancient Almoqui peoples. Currently, they can be seen in museums across Mexico, attracting numerous visitors eager to touch the mysteries of the distant past. Some replicas of these gigantesque sculptures have also been sent abroad to serve as symbols of ancient culture, remaining beyond their native territories and strengthening connections with world history. Yet, despite research and museum exhibitions, the true essence of these statues remains shrouded in mystery. Why did the ancient people exert colossal effort and resources to carve these enormous stone figures? What spiritual or sacred ideas did they represent? Or are these statues a kind of reflection of the unique rituals that existed at that time? The mystery of San Lorenzo continues to remain unsolved, posing a challenge for future generations of archaeologists and historians. These stone giants, erected nearly 2,900 years ago, still stand silently, like deaf witnesses to ancient, bygone eras. Under the bright sun of Veracruz, they seem immersed in a timeless silence, guarding unexplored secrets and mysterious knowledge. They are not just stone statues, but living testimonies of the creative energy and mystical power of a civilization that had a profound influence on the development of regional civilizations. As for the mystery of the stone from Los Lunas, in the mid-20th century, in the year 1930, archaeologist Frank Hyben, working at the University of New Mexico, came across a unique artifact. He discovered a massive basalt block on a dry hillside, approximately 35 miles south of Los Lunas. The enormous boulder was half slid down the slope, more than 400 feet above ground level, and its surface was smooth, covered with 9 lines of mysterious inscriptions. When Hyben arrived at the site, lichen covered the stone, and traces of weathering and wind were visible, making the readings almost impossible. However, upon closer analysis, the scientist concluded that the symbols resembled characters from an ancient Hebrew alphabet used around the 15th century BCE. He also noted that some of the depicted symbols and style were similar to writings found on stones dating from roughly the 1st century BCE, which contained the commandments, a brief set of rules and directives. One such stone bore an inscription that, after deciphering, proved to be a short summary of the 10 Commandments, central doctrines of ancient Jewish religious tradition. These findings suggest the existence of an ancient written culture that spanned Mesopotamia and possibly involved contact with other regions. Overall, these mysterious inscriptions and discoveries continue to intrigue scholars, opening new chapters in the history of ancient civilizations. This text again raises the question of the mysterious find, the so-called Moon Decalogue stone, whose authenticity remains the subject of intense debate today. The description mentions 4 gods, similar to the way they are referenced in Judaism, which should prompt reflection on possible connections between ancient cultures and their religious beliefs. If the discovered stone indeed turned out to be a rare relic from ancient times, it could spark widespread controversy and a re-evaluation of historical chronology. Such a discovery might lead to the hypothesis that Semitic peoples, renowned for their ancient history and inseparable ties to the Middle East, reached the Americas long before Columbus, altering conventional understandings of historical processes and challenging established chronologies. This would ignite lively discussions among archaeologists, historians, and mystery enthusiasts, as the meaning of its existence would change drastically. However, the mystery does not end there. The inscriptions and symbols carved into the stone form an unusual and quite strange combination, mainly consisting of Pali and Hebrew script, used in ancient Hebrew writing, yet also include letters resembling Greek alphabets. This mixture apparently hints at a later period, likely after the era of Alexander the Great, when Greek influence rapidly spread across regions, mingling with local traditions. It is possible that this refers to a time when various cultures were increasingly influenced by Hellenism, and as a result, this period may have left its mark on this symbolic monument. A Slavic linguist named Cyrus Gordon once suggested that this stone might have been part of an ancient tablet inscribed with the Decalogue, the 10 Commandments, which could have once stood at the gates of homes or in synagogues, serving to protect the Jewish people and remind them of spiritual rules. This hypothesis received a lively response from specialists as it linked the presence of such symbols with traditional religious practices. However, other scholars proposed the opposite. They pointed out that the inscriptions on the stone do not conform to either Samaritan or Jewish traditions. They noted the absence of key lines describing the construction of the temple on Mount Gerizim, and concluded that, in this case, the messages are more likely unrelated to the sacred texts of ancient Jews. Many researchers express critical doubts about the authenticity of this artifact. Some even believe it could be a part of modern mystification created to deceive people. They point to numerous grammatical errors, incorrect punctuation, and random combinations of symbols in the inscription, which do not align with any known ancient scripts. These inconsistencies and anomalies raise suspicion. Perhaps the authors of this so-called ancient inscription simply misreproduced or deliberately fabricated an artificial text imitating antiquity. Furthermore, there were rumors that two students from the University of New Mexico, roughly in the 1930s, carved this stone as a joke to prank their peers or attract attention. Archaeological expeditions that visited the site in the year to 1953 concluded that the natural patina covering the surface of the stone does not fully obscure the inscriptions. This led to assumptions that the carving could have been made relatively recently, perhaps within the last few decades, rather than in ancient times. Nonetheless, despite these arguments, there are groups of people convinced that this stone is much older than skeptics believe. One well-known geologist named George Macaus once compared the weathering of this mysterious object's surface to graffiti found on the peaks of modern mountains. He observed a significant difference, which in his opinion indicated the stone's age to be between 500 and 2,000 years, relatively recent in historical terms. A researcher named Barafel expressed the view that some punctuation marks observed in the inscription may actually correspond to ancient texts, although his opinion has not gained widespread recognition among colleagues. Overall, all of this raises many questions and doubts regarding the authenticity of the discovered stone. After lengthy pondering and discussions, the main question arises: what exactly is the Lost Moon Decalogue stone? Is it a genuine Semitic relic, hidden somewhere deep within America and holding significant historical or cultural value? Or is all of this just a clever ruse or modern hoax designed to attract attention and create a legend? Perhaps it is truly a unique artifact left behind by ancient civilizations whose knowledge and rituals were so hidden that they only now, after centuries, come to light. The true nature of this mysterious stone continues to intrigue researchers and enthusiasts of mysteries, provoking keen interest and spirited debates. Anyone who climbs the slope of the hill where it is located often finds themselves consumed by the desire to see it with their own eyes, to touch it, and to ponder whether it truly contains an ancient secret or is merely a contemporary forgery. While debates, hypotheses, and assumptions persist, the question of the stone's origin remains open. Its mystery continues to be one of the most captivating and enigmatic topics for those interested in the secrets of the past, unknown histories, and the inability to definitively determine the true nature of this mystical monument. Now let us turn to another, more grounded yet no less astonishing realm: the cultural heritage of the indigenous peoples of Costa Rica. In the museum of this region, among numerous exhibits, particularly stand out small jade figurines only a few centimeters tall. Each of them seems crafted with remarkable skill and attention to detail. Some of these miniatures have human forms, adorned with headdresses carved from feathers, clearly indicating their sacred significance. Other depictions include owl figures with large, expressive eyes, or mysterious creatures with easily recognizable features of half-human, half-animal beings, reflecting a rich, symbolic world of those times. These artistic pieces, associated with the cultures of Costa Rica's native populations, date approximately to the 5th to 3rd millennia BCE as well as the 7th century CE, confirming their considerable age and importance. They serve as small windows into the past, revealing the worldview, beliefs, rituals, and artistic traditions of those who lived on these lands centuries ago. Such finds help us understand how ancient peoples used jade objects in their religious and cult practices. The high level of craftsmanship evident in these miniatures speaks to a developed art and the rituals they served. Although most of them are very small, their significance and value for historians and archaeologists are difficult to overestimate. These figurines seem to come alive in the imagination of researchers, revealing details of a world long vanished, remaining a mystery not only of the past, but also serving as the foundation for understanding cultural connections and the development of civilizations in Central America. These ancient artifacts were not merely decorative elements that adorned the homes and bodies of their creators, but held much deeper symbolic significance. They embodied faith and served as a link between people and divine forces with which they sought to establish contact. At a time when archaeologists were only beginning to uncover the secrets of ancient civilizations, one finding stood out, generating extraordinary interest. One such mysterious aspect is that no samples of jade have been discovered in the territory of modern Costa Rica, which is renowned for its rich flora, fauna, and diverse cultural monuments. Meanwhile, the source of this precious mineral is believed to be the valley of the Mantegua River, located in neighboring Guatemala, more than 600 kilometers from Costa Rica's western borders. This contradiction holds a mystery. How could jade jewelry and figurines have reached these lands, despite the absence of jade deposits nearby? Archaeologist Dor Stone began to carefully document all excavations of jade artifacts found in ancient graves and settlements across this territory. By the 1970s, extensive studies of numerous finds had been organized, and a special jade museum was established in San Jose, the country's capital. Today, it houses nearly 7,000 unique artifacts, each carrying a rich history and evidence of cultural ties and trade routes from those distant times. Most often, jade figurines served not merely as ornaments, but played a vital role in rituals and held special societal significance. They were primarily used as jewelry for the upper classes, elites, as well as for chiefs and spiritual leaders of tribes. Among various styles and forms, carved pendants in the shape of axes were especially popular. These pendants were not random decorations. They depicted human or bird figures carved into slices of jade, framed by curved lines. Some figures represented owls or frogs, while others depicted snakes, symbols of fertility, wealth, and good fortune, which were of utmost importance to ancient agricultural societies. As for the methods used to process this unique material, they remain a mystery to scientists to this day. Jade possesses extraordinary hardness, reaching 6 to 7 on the Mohs scale, making it exceedingly difficult to work with in ancient times. Creating figurines and jewelry from it required complex and labor-intensive techniques. Archaeological excavations and studies show that ancient artisans from the regions of present-day Costa Rica developed their own unique method of working with this type of stone. They used so-called fiber saws. This technique involved using cords impregnated with a special abrasive powder, which allowed them to carve curved and complex shapes out of initially smooth blocks of jade. Some of the final artifacts required many years of labor to create, and their perfection astounds contemporaries. For example, the famous headdress pendant with feathers kept in the Denver Art Museum was apparently crafted through long efforts by artisans striving for perfect precision and beauty. The presence of jade in Costa Rican archaeological sites indicates an advanced trading system that stretched from Central American cultures to these lands. From the 2nd century BCE to the end of the 6th century CE, Traders likely exchanged goods with Maya and Olmec civilizations, acquiring jade for making figurines and jewelry. When, in the area of major centers like the Mayan city of Copan, there was a decline beginning in the early 7th century CE, the influx of jade into the region ceased, and its role was gradually replaced by gold and bronze items, which gained special significance in later eras. However, not all specialists agree on a single interpretation of jade's meaning. Some researchers suggest that these figurines and ornaments served as religious symbols intended to reinforce the connection with divine beings or ancestors. They believed such objects could possess sacred significance and act as intermediaries between humans and supernatural forces. Other scholars emphasize the social function of such artifacts, asserting that figurines and feather-adorned headdresses indicate the status and leadership qualities of their owners. Among the hypotheses is the idea that the style and techniques used to make these items may have been influenced by cultures of the southern regions of America. However, archaeological finds so far do not confirm direct cultural borrowing or contact between these regions. Overall, the history of jade in the territory of modern Central American countries remains an active subject of scientific debate, raising new questions and stimulating further research. Now let us move into modern times, where one of the unique examples of technological progress and research capabilities is the so-called ship Ilanin. This vessel was originally built as an icebreaker for the United States Navy, intended for exploration and ensuring safety in the Arctic regions. However, over time, due to the need to expand its capabilities, its design was modernized, transforming it into the first oceanographic vessel in history, specifically intended for exploring vast water expanses and deep-sea environments. The primary mission of Ilanin was to study the routes of the Antarctic continent, collect seabed samples, and photograph landscapes that had previously remained inaccessible to humanity. Thanks to modern equipment and technologies, the ship managed to gather new information about previously unseen parts of the world's oceans, reaching depths of up to 1,000 meters and more. One expedition is particularly notable, during which specialists photographed the seabed at a depth of just under 4,000 meters. During this session, an image was captured that became a sensation among scientists and the general public. The photograph showed an unusual object located vertically on the ocean floor. This object, covered in sand and looking upward, became a true mysterious discovery, sparking numerous reflections and discussions about possible forms of life or man-made structures at ocean depths, previously the subject of only guesses. The exact size and nature of this find remain unknown for now, further fueling the scientific community's and enthusiasts' interest in solving this mystery. Its height was approximately 11 decimeters, and its shape resembled an elegant vertical column, radiating strictness and balance. The surface of this mysterious object was evenly adorned with branched protrusions, which in turn terminated in small spherical outgrowths. Its peculiar structure evoked comparisons to modern television antennas, or perhaps advanced technology. At that time, no technical means existed to install underwater structures or devices at such a deep point of the ocean floor. This raised questions about the nature of this object. What exactly was this mysterious artifact? The photograph of this phenomenon quickly appeared in the New Zealand Herald under the headline, "Mysterious Image from the Ocean Floor," instantly attracting broad public interest and intense discussions. Many researchers, fascinated by UFO phenomena and conspiracy theories, believed that they were looking at an alien artifact, possibly left on the seafloor to monitor Earth or to establish contact with other civilizations. Some even hypothesized that this antenna could have been left by an ancient planetary network connected to mystical cycles of the Earth, involving symbolic numbers such as 444, which according to some are related to the speed of light. However, not everyone shared these mystical and fantastical explanations. In 1971, oceanographers Bruce Hines and Charles Hollister proposed an alternative theory in their book, The Face of the Deep. They argued that the depicted object was not a technological structure at all, but a marine sponge known as Cladorahissa canretans, representative of a species that closely resembles the sponge described by explorer Alexander Agassiz many years ago. According to scientists, this sponge virtually mirrors a modern microwave antenna, which is a result of natural form rather than artificial engineering. Nevertheless, this explanation did not satisfy all researchers. Why was the team from Alton unable to immediately recognize this object as a sponge? Moreover, this type of marine sponge usually inhabits colonies, forming dense clusters, whereas the found specimen stood alone, and its shape seemed too symmetrical, dense, and artificial, more similar to a man-made creation than a natural organism. The stories surrounding this object took on additional mysterious overtones in the 1950s, when researcher Tom Deary confirmed in 1973 that the marine form seen in the photograph was indeed a sponge. However, this news appeared to remain within a narrow circle of scientists, raising curious questions. Were there attempts to hide the true nature of this mysterious antenna-like device found on the ocean floor? To this day, this unusual object remains unexplained. It has not been rediscovered, and the area where the photograph was taken is considered one of the most harsh and inaccessible regions on the planet. Many speculate that if this object truly is some sort of technological device, it may have been deliberately concealed or kept secret. So what is the true nature of Alton's antenna? Is it a marine creature or a lost electrical device hidden deep in the ocean's depths? The answers to this question are still shrouded in mystery. And what about the mysterious Russian megasphere? In the summer days of 2016, on the Russian Champ Island, a group of geologists and miners made an astonishing discovery. During coal extraction, they stumbled upon dozens of gigantic stone spheres scattered across the frozen, difficult-to-access terrain. Some of these natural formations reached up to 4 meters in diameter, much larger than any known natural stone formations by science. The scientists were especially struck by their remarkably smooth surfaces. These spheres were almost perfectly polished, as if carefully worked on by someone to give them an extraordinary smoothness and precise shape. During inspection, it was also found that some of these stone spheres had cracks, which only added to their mystique. This discovery immediately drew the attention of experts and raised numerous questions about the nature and origin of these unusual stone objects. Inside the found Himalayan formations, scientists discovered numerous concentric layers that could give the impression of giant spherical objects that appeared millions of years ago. These astonishing structures became popularly known as SEDA, which became their nickname. Soon, knowledge of the Russian megaspheres spread worldwide, crossing the borders of their native region. Champ Island, where these mysterious formations are located, is notorious for its harsh climate. Winter temperatures there can drop to 30 degrees below zero, and the land is only sporadically freed from an icy crust. The brief summer melting window transforms these wild landscapes into places where unusual formations emerge. During these short, bright summer months, when the ice melts away and the land attracts visitors and researchers, huge spheres hidden beneath the snow cover for most of the year begin to appear. News about the discovered megaspheres quickly circulated in scientific circles, attracting specialists from around the world. Geologists from the Russian Academy of Sciences, who dedicated many years to studying these formations, concluded that the spheres were created as a result of concretion processes, mineraloid deposits occurring at the bottom of ancient marine basins. This complex geological process involves the gradual accumulation of minerals, such as calcium and silicon, around a tiny core, eventually leading to the formation of perfectly round bodies. Over millions of years, these sedimentary layers accreted, forming the astonishing natural spheres we can observe today. Similar natural formations are found in other parts of the world, such as the famous Moeraki Bodan stones in New Zealand. But the local stones stand out due to their impressive size. Many are twice as large as similar formations found elsewhere. Some of these massive structures on Champ Island seem to be deliberately placed, almost as if someone arranged them according to a certain principle. This has raised many questions about whether nature itself could create such perfect shapes, or if perhaps some deliberate actions are behind them. Certain hypotheses suggest the possibility of conscious intervention. For a long time, various theories, speculations, and even conspiracy theories have circulated on social media. Some authors compare the megaspheres to well-known Clerk spheres discovered in South Africa, believed to be billions of years old. According to some researchers, these ancient formations may not be of natural origin, and could even show signs indicating potential intelligent design. This was also noticed by geologist Andre, who conducted studies on Champ Island. He once noticed that the shape of spheres seems too perfect and not chaotic enough to fully conform to natural processes. However, if that is true, the main question arises: who and how created these giant spheres? The answers to this have posed even more mysteries and uncertainties for scientists. Many researchers are hesitant and tend to believe that millions of years ago, natural processes, erosion, sedimentation, and geological phenomena simply brought these spheres to the surface, making them accessible to modern observers. They consider these formations just one of many natural wonders generated by our unique climate and the geological development of the planet. The story of surrounding mysteries was further fueled in 2018 when a group of geology enthusiasts traveled to Champ Island to see these megaspheres with their own eyes. During the expedition, they observed that tapping lightly on some of the stone spheres produces dull sounds reminiscent of a bell ringing emanating from deep within the island. These unusual sounds have always intrigued researchers. Some scientists hypothesized that these signals might have an ancient origin, perhaps remnants of relics of vanished civilizations or used in special rituals. Yet, within the framework of scientific hypotheses, a question arises. If these spheres are the result of natural processes, why do they cluster in certain groups and sometimes form circular patterns? These groupings attract particular interest and have led to additional hypotheses about the possible artificial placement of the spheres. The research into the megaspheres encountered further difficulties. The remoteness of the area and harsh natural conditions hindered comprehensive and detailed studies, only intensifying the mystery. Despite all the challenges, these unique formations remain one of the most intriguing and enigmatic natural phenomena, revealing to researchers the secrets of ancient Earth. This situation worsened when new, even more mysterious facts surfaced, deepening the uncertainties surrounding the events. Champ Island, located on the territory of Friend Joseph Land, has long attracted researchers with its unusual history. At that time, this land was a closed military zone of the Soviet Union, which was difficult to study easily due to limited access and maintained secrecy. In these remote and dangerous places, daring tests of some of the most powerful nuclear devices were conducted, including SAR bombs, weapons with incredible destructive power. It was this mysterious context, filled with military secrets and radiation hazards, that further fueled interest in the region's mysteries and its surroundings. Many people began to speculate that the origin of the mysterious stone spheres discovered in this region still remains shrouded in a veil of mystery, leaving scientists and curious explorers without answers. It seemed that the truth was hidden deeper than it appeared at first glance. In 1990, in the 19th century, in the heart of China, a significant discovery was made in a small cave located in Guangxi province, which drew the attention of specialists from around the world. A young geologist, an expert in oil and gas, came across an unusual block composed of sedimentary rocks. This unexpected stone mass proved to be much more complex than a simple natural formation. Inside, fragments of human bones, animal bones, as well as coal and baked clay were found, indicating the presence of humans in the area many centuries ago. Recognizing the importance of this find, the scientist decided to take action. He sent a sample to the local museum located in Kunming, in Yunnan province, for further analysis to determine the age and origin of these artifacts. 10 years passed, and in 2019, when the era of new scientific discoveries seemed to have reached its peak, archaeologists began excavations in a completely different, but not far from the previous sites. In one of the caves, which was named the Red Hole. This cave was situated near the city of Manzi, also in Yunnan province. The excavation process revealed even more astonishing and remarkable finds. Numerous human bones were uncovered, along with stone tools used by ancient inhabitants for hunting and food processing. Additionally, archaeologists discovered a large number of charred remains of noble deer, suggesting that in ancient times, people hunted these animals and then consumed their meat. All of this confirmed that the cave was used in the distant past as an important site for habitation and economic activity by people now known as the people from the Red Hole Cave. However, the true mystery of this region and this ancient culture was only uncovered after some time, and the key to solving it was found only in 2008. At that time, an international group of scientists, including renowned expedition and research teams such as Darren Kerno's group and Geschwing's team, launched a large-scale and very meticulous investigation of the region. As a result of their work, it was established that the age of the discovered bones ranged from approximately 1,700 years to 11,500 years ago. This broad range suggested that these remains belonged to people who lived during the end of the last ice age and the early stages of the formation of new cultural layers. And what was particularly astonishing was that most of the skeletons exhibited traits very similar to those characteristic of ancient humans who lived in Europe and are still known today as Neolithic civilizations. Equally remarkable was the fact that, regardless of geographical distance and cultural differences, these ancient people called themselves the same. Their morphology was similar, clearly indicating a connection between civilizations separated by thousands of kilometers. Then, in 2010, deep within the Red Hole Cave, archaeologists discovered remains of humans believed by experts to belong to a very ancient human species, Homo erectus, which existed in Africa just over 1 million years ago. These fossils displayed several distinctive features, including flat skulls, wide nasal openings, protruding jaws, prominent brow ridges, and quite strong, robust jawbones. These traits closely resembled those typical of Homo erectus, a species often considered an ancestor of modern humans. What is even more astonishing is that these remains were found at a time when the planet was just beginning to develop the first agricultural cultures and the earliest permanent settlements. 2 years later, in 2012, archaeologists in southern China made another unique discovery. They found a small femur, the length and outer layer of which resembled those of femurs associated with the so-called Hectus, an ancient human species known from DNA analysis, but previously never identified in fossils. This find caused a real upheaval in the scientific community. Researchers speculated that it could be evidence of a new human species or perhaps descendants of an ancient, long-extinct era who managed to survive and preserve their unique genetic lineage in the isolated highland regions of southwest China. Some specialists propose that these people might have resulted from genetic interaction and interbreeding between Homo erectus and modern humans, as ancient and later hybridization events between different human species are known. It is possible that these isolated groups preserved their genes and traits acquired through such mixing, forming a distinctive group with a unique set of characteristics. Among the hypotheses was also the idea that these discoveries indicate the existence of an ancient genetic variation, including the so-called Denisovan human genome, a mysterious species known only from DNA remnants, which supposedly inhabited many regions across Asia. Evidence obtained from recent studies confirmed that human evolutionary history is much more complex, diverse, and mysterious than previously thought. These findings supported hypotheses suggesting that entire branches of human ancestry existed on the planet and still exist today, intermingling to create new genetic lines and forms. All of this indicates that human evolution is an incredibly long, complicated, and layered process, full of astonishing secrets that have not yet been fully uncovered. One popular hypothesis that has generated keen interest among researchers is the idea that high-altitude regions in ancient times may have served as refuges for the first humans inhabiting the planet. Many scientists believe that it was precisely in these rugged and hard-to-reach areas that ancient communities formed, which managed to survive and even thrive despite extreme conditions and limited resources. Similar to the legendary stories of hobbits depicted as small but resilient inhabitants of Flora's Island, able to endure for many centuries without succumbing to destructive changes over time and nature, displaced from plains and low-lying areas. However, these hypotheses evoke not only admiration, but also some bewilderment among experts, as opinions vary regarding the origins and characteristics of such ancient peoples. One influential researcher, Martha Mirazan-Larlar, a specialist in evolutionary biology working at the University of Cambridge, proposed her own version of the hypothesis. She considers the humans found in the Reader Cave not as representatives of a distinct new species, but rather as modern humans with, for some reason, developed unusual traits. She emphasized that the variability within the human species is incredibly great, and that the appearance of strange or distinctive features does not necessarily indicate the presence of a new or separate species. In her view, this is related to the fact that modern humans exhibit enormous variability in physical traits, and some characteristics can arise due to isolation, genetic peculiarities, or random mutations. However, in the 1920s, new data emerged. In 2015, a group of scientists continued the study of a femur previously discovered and concluded that this bone exhibits characteristics significantly beyond the primary variations typical of modern humans. Such a result pointed to the possible existence of another, hitherto unknown species of ancient humans. This discovery sparked various hypotheses within the scientific community about the origins of creatures that produced such differences, as well as about the time of their appearance. Some scholars have suggested that the inhabitants of the Reader Cave may have very ancient roots dating back to the period of the first major migration from Africa, a migration that could have preceded the widespread dispersal of modern humans across all regions of Asia. According to some experts, this migration occurred approximately 60,000 years before the present. However, the situation changed dramatically in 2022 when a group of Chinese scientists, after sequencing part of the DNA extracted from a skull sample found in Maludong, achieved astonishing results. The data obtained caused a real storm in the scientific community because it seemed to provide answers to questions that had long troubled researchers. The study revealed that the people who lived in Reader Cave are very closely related, genetically, to both modern East Asian populations and indigenous peoples of the Americas. The skull, belonging to a woman discovered at the archaeological site, could contain traces of genetic material, indicating that her ancestors were likely among the first to cross the Bering Strait and arrive in North and South America millions of years ago. These discoveries have raised many questions that scientists continue to seek answers to today. Why did these ancient people have such unusual facial features similar to those observed in vanished civilizations and ancient ancestors? Were they, in fact, hybrids? results of interbreeding between different groups? Or did they represent an independent, previously unknown human species? And how did they manage to survive alongside modern cultural communities at the end of the last ice age, enduring extreme climate conditions? This story reminds us all of how rich and mysterious our shared genetic and cultural heritage is, filled with enigmas that remain partially beyond our full understanding. In the context of Asia, numerous mysterious caves still hold many unexplored secrets and the mysteries of ancient civilizations. Among these secrets, the written language of the Indus people occupies a special place. It existed over 4,000 years ago, an extremely ancient and mysterious system of signs. In the extensive territories surrounding the Indus River, one of the great civilizations of the past once flourished, reaching incredible heights of development. This land was home to famous cities such as Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, which amazed with their architectural mastery and engineering solutions. Streets, houses, and drainage systems were built at levels surpassing many other contemporary states of that time. However, among all the found and studied artifacts, there is one mysterious enigma that has sparked genuine interest among scientists and historians for decades. This is the script of the Indus people. In the 1860s, the first small stone seals with unusual symbols were discovered, each raising numerous questions about their origin and meaning. Over time, researchers have found a large number of such artifacts, more than 4,000, and although many attempts at decipherment have been made repeatedly, none have yet provided a definitive answer as to what is hidden behind these signs. The surfaces of these seals depict various images, animals, human figures, and also unidentified mysterious symbols whose purpose remains unknown. All these finds provoke ongoing debates and speculations about who created this system of writing, and which stories, religions, or legends it might have stored within. It is important to note that the Indus symbols do not resemble any known ancient writing systems, making them particularly mysterious and unique in world archaeology. These monuments and ancient signs do not belong to the great Egyptian hieroglyphs, Mesopotamian cuneiform, or Chinese characters. Most of the surviving inscriptions consist of short fragments, only 3, 5, or 6 hieroglyphs. Occasionally, longer lines or sets of symbols appear, but in no case do we encounter complete texts or embedded narratives that could provide a clear understanding of their content. These symbols were executed with truly phenomenal precision and accuracy, indicating the high level of importance and significance that ancient people attach to these records. Even today, after thousands of years, we cannot fully decipher each of these hieroglyphs or understand what exactly they meant for their creators. Many hypotheses have been proposed to explain the nature of these symbols, ranging from various theories to suppositions. Some researchers believe that this could have been a form of formal writing, a kind of symbol system similar to Sumerian cuneiform or Egyptian hieroglyphs, a complex and multi-meaning system revealing ideas or concepts through graphic images. Others speculate that these signs resemble diagrams or schematic symbols used in ancient China for visually representing ideas, processes, or concepts. There are views that perhaps these signs were not intended for recording long texts or narratives at all, but served as simpler identification marks. In some cases, they may have been used to mark goods, indicating affiliation with a particular family or group. There are reports that such symbols were used in various areas of life. For example, in trade or religious rituals, where they held sacred or utilitarian significance. Over the past 100 years, scientists and archaeologists have made numerous efforts to unravel the mystery of this script. However, the main difficulty remains the almost complete absence of bilingual inscriptions similar to the famous Rosetta Stone, which helped decipher Egyptian hieroglyphs. Additionally, the number of discovered symbols is extremely limited, and the inscriptions are often very brief, making comparison and pattern recognition difficult. It is remarkable that, despite the advanced level of civilization achieved in those times, all traces of this unique writing system seem to have disappeared without a trace after Indian culture, and writing began to decline around 2,000 years before our era. Many scholars speculate that once the script of the ancient Indian civilization is deciphered, it will open up the possibility of learning much more about its daily life, culture, religious beliefs, and perhaps even the reasons for its sudden disappearance. At the powerful and mysterious dawn of a new era. For now, these enigmatic small seals with their mysterious symbols keep their secrets, silently guarding the history of one of the most mysterious civilizations ever to inhabit the Earth. Less than a century ago, exactly in the 20th century, events occurred that revealed very important and unusual facts. At the beginning of the year 2001 of our era, a very destructive flood took place in a valley along the Khalil River in southeastern modern Iran, which radically changed everything familiar. This stretch of the river, usually flowing in a calm and gentle rhythm, suddenly overflowed its banks, causing widespread flooding. The water covered a vast area and soon began to expose ancient monuments buried under layers of soil, hidden here for millennia. After the water level started to recede, a truly astonishing picture unfolded before archaeologists and researchers. Excavated tombs, with the dry weather, suddenly appeared on the surface. There were many necropolises filled with ancient bodies, some of which had been looted long ago, adding even more mystery to the enigma. Unexpected discoveries began to emerge in this place. Delicate jade bracelets with a noble green hue, finely crafted vessels and ceramic items, beautiful gaming boards adorned with precious stones, jewelry, and even weapons, seemingly from another era. All this caused a considerable stir, as archaeologists and collectors were puzzled by the origin of these objects. Where did such exquisite works of art and noble materials suddenly come from? The answer remained a mystery for a long time until Iranian authorities took control of the situation. Soon, by the end of 2001, law enforcement arrested several suspects involved in the smuggling of historical artifacts and seized a significant collection of rare finds from illegal hands. The path leading to this location, the Khalil Valley near the town of Gerut, has witnessed this incredible and exciting event. When the team of archaeologists and specialists began excavations, they were stunned by the sight that unfolded before them. It turned out that these digs were not limited to a simple burial site. Deep within the earth, traces of a powerful Bronze Age civilization, dating back approximately from the 2nd or 3rd millennium BCE, were uncovered. These findings allowed for an extraordinary leap in understanding the ancient history of the region. Expanded knowledge about the development of human culture during that era, and opened new horizons for studying the histories of civilizations that existed on the territory of modern Iran hundreds and thousands of years ago. About 5,500 years ago, roughly between 2035 BCE and 1355 BCE, on the territory near the ancient city of Gerut, rich and well-developed urban complexes emerged, indicative of a high level of cultural and technological organization for their time. During the archaeological excavations, various evidence of complex construction structures was uncovered, and notably, signs of a potentially unique writing system that might have been distinct from known ancient scripts were found. All of this suggests that Gerut was a center possessing its own civilization, capable not only of large-scale societal formations, but also of creating original cultural and religious monuments. Moreover, near this settlement, 2 artificially constructed burial mounds, tomb structures, were discovered, which archaeologists interpret as another significant testament to a mysterious culture. Inside these mounds, new enigmatic finds emerged, indicating the presence of a vast fortress complex and an ancient ceremonial site. Evidence that Gerut was not merely a settlement, but perhaps a hub for religious rituals and defensive constructions. But what exactly did archaeologists find during their fieldwork in Gerut, and why are researchers so surprised and intrigued? One of the discovered vessels, specially made from bright chlorite stone, depicts a fat, two-horned figure dressed in combat attire, engaged in fierce battle with snakes twisting around him. This scene evokes a vivid association with ancient Sumerian mythology, the two-horned hero fighting serpent-like beings, an image recurring in legends about the struggle between divine and dark forces, the victory of light over darkness, and the eternal battle between good and evil. Part 33 of 49. Additionally, on the heavy stone, possibly once used as a weight, made of the same chlorite material, there have been found images depicting people holding objects resembling lassos or belts, and scenes of them taming and controlling wild animals, horses, lions, or other large predators. This theme, common in the Bronze Age, indicates that the ancient inhabitants of Gerut possessed a high level of knowledge regarding the distribution and interaction with wild nature, as well as advanced animal handling skills, which could have played an important role in their culture and economic activities. Regarding architectural monuments, the cylindrical jars discovered here are striking in their detail. They resemble palace facades with columns, decorated with miniature ziggurats, small stepped temple structures. These artifacts are remarkable because they closely resemble the architectural styles of that era: palaces, temples, and dwellings of divine beings, all crafted in miniature. Archaeologist Ismagji, an expert from ancient Mesopotamia, speculated that Gerut could have been the legendary land of Arata, mentioned in Sumerian myths as a place of wealth and abundance, blessed by divine power. According to legends, this region was surrounded by riches and filled with wonders. Moreover, among the finds is a brick engraved with geometric symbols, which scholars believe could be the key to understanding the origins of early writing systems. This symbolic brick may be one of the earliest examples providing insights into the birth of literacy and cultural traditions of those ancient peoples. However, not all specialists share this view. For instance, scientist Oscar Morella stated that these findings require more careful and convincing validation before they can be regarded as evidence of an early writing system and culture. What makes Gerut even more mysterious and enticing for research is its scale. The ruins rising as a majestic two-story fortress called Conor Sandal are impressive. Located less than a mile, approximately 1.5 kilometers, from the excavation site's center, they consist of massive brick walls up to 11 meters thick, illustrating a high level of defensive architecture. Surrounding the fortress are remnants of a ceremonial structure, possibly once serving as a temple or cult building used for ritual ceremonies. Since 2014, international teams of archaeologists from countries such as Italy, France, and Germany have been conducting excavations and studies to better understand the structure of this ancient settlement. The work of these scientific groups allows for the discovery of evidence of residential quarters as well as ancient workshops where tools and artifacts made of stone, bone, and metal were manufactured. Among the most impressive finds are cylindrical seals, archetypical Mesopotamian stamps that indicate Gerut had a developed management system and was engaged in interregional trade. These unique artifacts provide insight into how complex and structured the culture of this ancient center was. However, science continues to debate the nature of this city. Not all researchers are convinced that Gerut was an independent civilization. Some believe it was merely a major trading hub, under strong influence from neighboring cultures, such as the Elodian civilization to the west and the Inca Valley to the east. Supporting this hypothesis are finds of various artifacts, ceramics, jewelry, and symbols that testify to cultural exchanges and borrowing. All these discoveries and hypotheses create an increasingly complicated picture. Despite numerous findings and ongoing debates among archaeologists, the mystery of Geruf remains unresolved. If we suppose that this place was indeed the cradle of great ancient civilizations, then the question arises, why, after 5,000 years, did its traces suddenly vanish? Perhaps a catastrophic event was the cause. For example, a powerful flood that occurred in 2201 BCE. Some believe this natural disaster was a kind of fateful moment that inadvertently uncovered the secrets of long-forgotten times. Possibly, this event destroyed or concealed the heritage of the ancients, leaving their monuments inaccessible to later generations. In this sense, Geruf not only reminds us of mysterious pages of history hidden deep in the centuries, but also highlights how fragile human civilization is. Whenever it seems that we have learned everything and can understand the origins of the past, new discoveries and mysteries emerge, forcing us to admit that human history is full of unsolved secrets, hidden corners, and events left unspoken. Often, all it takes to reveal them is a natural phenomenon or a powerful shock capable of awakening knowledge forgotten for centuries. For example, in the summer of 1961, in a small village located in Transylvania, in modern-day Romania, archaeologist Nicolae Velasha, along with his team, was excavating a Neolithic settlement. During these excavations, he discovered unique artifacts and remains of dwellings that allowed him to draw important conclusions about the ancient people who inhabited this region several thousand years ago. Despite their local significance, these finds have the potential to broaden our understanding of early human cultures and their interactions across Europe and the Near East, continually reminding us that much within history still awaits discovery and explanation. During the archaeological excavation, the research team unexpectedly uncovered an ancient ritual pit from which increasingly unusual and unique artifacts were gradually extracted. This discovery was truly significant. Inside the pit, archaeologists found 36 figurines made of clay and stone, as well as a bracelet woven from shells and remains of an adult person, burnt and heavily damaged by time. These findings immediately drew the attention of scientists, as their origin and purpose allowed for various hypotheses. Initially, experts speculated that this individual might have been a shaman or held a special social status, since the remains showed signs indicating an honorable or shamanic position. However, the team's real astonishment was caused by small clay tablets, each about 6 centimeters in size. Remarkably, they stood out from the entire archaeological layer due to their mysterious and unusual nature. These ancient miniatures were engraved with symbols that immediately caught the attention of archaeologists, representing a true scientific discovery. 2 of the 3 tablets, one rectangular and the other round, contained holes likely made for hanging or wearing, leading to assumptions about their possible use as talismans, amulets, or ritual objects. These unique artifacts were soon dubbed the Tartaria tablets and caused a real sensation in scientific circles, sparking numerous discussions and debates. The art and symbolism depicted on these miniature tablets resembled early forms of writing or graphical ciphers that existed long before the emergence of known writing systems. One of them features an animal with horns, reminiscent of some divine or mythical creature, while nearby, a schematic tree or branch with leaves can be seen, possibly indicating a symbol of the connection between nature and the spiritual realm. Another tablet, filled with abstract symbols and geometric figures, raised even more questions among researchers, as similar symbols and motifs are found in the Vinci symbol system, a mysterious method associated with a prehistoric culture that existed in present-day Romania from roughly 4000 to 3700 BCE. The conflicting data regarding the age of these tablets has become a hot topic of debate in scientific circles. Some scientists suggest that the artifacts are around 5,000 years old, based on soil layer analysis and preservation strategies. If these theories are confirmed, the Tartaria tablets would be among the oldest recorded carriers of written information ever created in human history, predating the Sumerian cuneiform monuments and Egyptian hieroglyphs by at least 1,000 years. Such a conclusion would open up the possibility of recognizing the writing system discovered in Eastern Europe as the world's very first, predating all other written systems in their emergence. However, not all researchers agree with this hypothesis. Some tend to believe that initially these tablets were baked at very high temperatures, possibly in a fire or through a special treatment, which makes radiocarbon dating impossible or very difficult. This creates additional challenges for determining the exact age of the artifacts and sparks heated debates among scholars, since without precise dating, it is hard to definitively establish the antiquity of these symbols. Among other mysteries remains the question of the origin of the symbols and their connection to other writing systems. Some linguists suggest that their origin may be linked to linear script or even serve as a prototype for future writing systems that existed or developed on the island of Cyprus. Nevertheless, despite numerous attempts, no one has yet been able to fully decipher the secret of the mysterious signs on these miniature tablets. The total number of known symbols associated with the Vinci system and the Tartarian tablets approaches 700 marks, which is almost equal to the number of known Egyptian hieroglyphs. This has led some linguists, such as Harman and other scholars historians, to hypothesize that these signs could constitute a complete writing system, specifically created for recording trading transactions, ritual ceremonies, or other forms of communication in ancient societies. Unfortunately, most inscriptions on the discovered tablets are extremely brief, significantly complicating their decipherment and understanding. Some hypotheses propose that this system could be the result of activity by a very ancient civilization that might have existed long before the Sumerian culture, leaving behind an understudied and forgotten archetypal foundation of writing and culture. These enigmatic findings, along with debates and hypotheses about their age and origin, continue to fascinate researchers to this day, leaving many questions unanswered. During scientific discussions, bold ideas are put forward, suggesting that the Tartarian tablets could attest to the existence of an ancient civilization that transmitted its knowledge through symbols long lost to modern humans and submerged in history. All of this underscores how multifaceted and mysterious our ancient past is, and the secrets hidden deep within distant epochs still require many discoveries to piece together the full mosaic of history. Despite the lack of direct and conclusive evidence supporting this theory, it continues to evoke keen interest among scientists, curious researchers, and enthusiasts of ancient mysteries. The idea expressed is that deep within ancient Eastern Europe, an entire society or culture may once have flourished, only to become invisible on the modern map, vanished without a trace as if erased by time and fate. Some enthusiasts and historians have tried to find the key to this mystery, linking the discovered symbols to ancient magical signs or magwars, enigmatic runes legendary in old sources. However, such hypotheses, despite their dramatic and romantic appeal in uncovering the secrets of the era, face serious scientific obstacles, a lack of sufficient confirmation and convincing evidence to establish any definite connection. Among the most remarkable finds of the 21st century is a dwarf skeleton. Small, extraordinarily interesting, and mysterious remains discovered on the territory of modern China. This discovery has raised numerous questions to which scientists still cannot provide clear and definitive answers. It all began in 2007 in an area near the Yellow River in eastern central China. one of those places long whispered about in legends, where ancient people's lives once thrived many centuries ago. During archaeological excavations, researchers uncovered an ancient burial site containing remains of several skeletons belonging to the Yangsha culture, which existed approximately 5,000 to 7,000 years ago. These ancient remains were buried as if awaiting their time, with their hands carefully folded on their chests, likely a gesture of respect for the deceased, expressing ritual reverence and traditional customs of those distant days. However, amidst these many individual graves and skeletons, one stood out, notably smaller and unusually proportioned. This individual was buried separately from the others, with hands behind the back, as if someone deliberately concealed him, perhaps from prying eyes or as part of some mystical ritual. Upon closer examination of the bones, scientists found that this skeleton was significantly older than the others, dating back to the end of the Neolithic period, about 10,000 years ago, when the land first showed signs of civilization. This fact stunned experts, as it implied that this person lived in a time when civilization was at its dawn. The archaeologist, who was excavating at the time, was deeply astonished upon seeing the proportions of this ancient individual's body. Despite clear physical signs of dwarfism, his proportions were perfectly harmonious, virtually ruling out the possibility that he suffered from any modern illness causing such deviations. These proportions amazed with their symmetry and precision, as if created according to some internal ideal standard. During the analysis of the teeth and bones, scientists determined that the age of this individual at the time of death was approximately 16 to 20 years old, very young for such an ancient period. Among countless thousands of ancient skeletons found worldwide, this specimen stood out because of its rarity and uniqueness. Cases of dwarfism in ancient humans were extremely rare and had remained virtually unknown to science until now. This ancient specimen became one of the oldest known cases of dwarfism, making it exceptionally valuable, as it could help us understand new aspects of life in deep antiquity, genetics, and the adaptive features of early humans. Researchers were puzzled by how such a person, with a miniature and seemingly very frail body, managed to survive in a society of hunters and gatherers, for whom physical strength and endurance were integral to life and survival. For over a decade, a team of scientists working on this mysterious remains dedicated themselves to studying every fragment and detail to uncover the secrets of its existence. They conducted X-ray scans of the bones, traced the structure of the teeth, and examined its physical development and behavior. Ultimately, the researchers concluded that the likely causes of dwarfism in this individual were genetic factors that led to a slowdown in the growth and development processes. From an early age, he was probably diagnosed with hypothyroidism or hypopituitarism, conditions where the body does not produce enough hormones that regulate growth and development, resulting in his extraordinary small stature. This person, it seems, grew and developed in an environment where such a condition did not prevent him from surviving. Although, of course, how he managed to adapt and socialize within a society where physical prowess likely played a significant role remains a mystery. It is quite possible that, in that era, special attention was given to his intellectual or spiritual abilities. As in ancient times, individuals with unusual deviations were sometimes valued for their unique talents. The discovered burial raises additional questions related to rituals and social structure. Could the hands behind back pose have been part of a magical or ritualistic practice, symbolizing exclusion, or conversely, a special social status? Perhaps burial within a community indicated that, despite his unusual physical condition, this person was still considered an important part of society or held a particular position. Some scientists suggest that in ancient China or the broader East Asian region, there may have existed archetypes and traditions associated with such unique individuals. Possibly, such people were regarded as shamans or conduits of spiritual forces, which made them more valued and respected within their communities than it might initially appear. There is also an alternative hypothesis suggesting that the skeleton of this ancient dwarf was the result of inherited genetic traits, which may have been passed down through generations and caused the unusual growth. All of this remains the subject of intense scientific debate and research, as each new discovery and find adds new details to the picture of that remarkable and mysterious world of our ancient ancestors. In a small, isolated community where hereditary diseases occur significantly more often than usual, it often seems that the fate of the people or an individual is shaped by the blows of destiny or historical circumstances. In the modern era, despite advances in science and medicine, such places still hold many mysteries. However, in ancient times, the situation could have been entirely different. Archaeological finds made in later periods allow us to judge that, in ancient times, people with short stature or certain features might have been viewed differently. Sometimes, such characteristics were met with less respect or even prejudice, and in some cases, their lives were complicated to the point of establishing conditions akin to slavery, especially in the courts of empires where all power and wealth were concentrated and required appropriate behavior. In this regard, historical evidence that has emerged from archaeological excavations and scientific studies becomes particularly interesting. In addition to their immediate scientific value, bold hypotheses have arisen attempting to explain the peculiarities of early human remains. One such hypothesis suggests that the found skeleton, with its small size or anomalies, could be related to myths about little people, which are quite popular in Asian folklore and oral legends. These legends are filled with stories of wise dwarfs, protectors, or magical creatures, often possessing extraordinary strength, which essentially allows one to speculate about the existence of isolated groups with unique characteristics in ancient times. Some truth seekers go further, suggesting that these remains might be evidence of the existence of separate ancient groups living in isolation, or even of original human species previously unknown to science. Although these hypotheses lack conclusive confirmation and require further research, their emergence is by no means accidental. They remind us that many secrets and mysteries related to human history remain hidden within the depths of time and await discovery. Ultimately, the fact that a 10,000 or 15,000-year-old dwarf skeleton was found by archaeologists is far from just another archaeological find. It is a window into the past, an opportunity to understand how diverse the forms and characteristics of early human ancestors could have been. The very fact that such a person could live on Earth and be buried alongside others suggests that the society of that time was possibly much more tolerant and open to differences than commonly believed. Perhaps legends and oral traditions have preserved evidence of willpower, acceptance, and respectful attitudes toward people with unusual features long before written sources appeared. Such information helps us understand that the history of the struggle for recognition and respect for individuality extends far into the past and is sometimes hidden precisely in simple archaeological finds. Let us turn to another remarkable historical mystery, the submerged so-called city of Pavlo-Petri. This city, which existed around 5,000 years ago, when the first civilizations were just beginning to develop, was completely engulfed by the sea due to its unique fate. At that time, it was located on the coast of Greece and was a lively, bustling settlement with streets, houses, and tombs that were later lost beneath the water's depths. This is the origin of legends about a city that disappeared into the sea abyss, a city that vanished as suddenly as it appeared. The story of Pavlo-Petri begins in the early 20th century, when a Greek geologist first noticed on the shoreline near the Vatican Bay peculiar features on the seabed, indicating the presence of archaeological remains of a long-lost city. These lines resembled ancient streets or infrastructure and piqued the interest of scientists. However, serious searches and excavations only began in 1967, when marine archaeologist Nicholas Fleming revisited the site and began a thorough study. His expeditions revealed structured areas at depths of 3 to 4 meters underwater, which turned out to be streets and more than 37 tombs dating back to the Bronze Age. Ancient artifacts found during the excavations, including ceramic fragments, shards of stone tools, and numerous items made from clay and metals, allowed researchers to conclude that this city existed approximately 3,500 years ago, making it one of the oldest known underwater settlements in archaeology. The fact of its preservation is astonishing. The city was almost entirely destroyed by natural forces, yet its layout, streets, and even residential houses are clearly discernible on the seabed. Pavlo Petri is characterized by its remarkable preservation. Despite being once completely buried under a layer of sand and moderate water depths, it retained its planning details. Narrow streets, 2-story houses surrounded by gardens, and a rich central square covering over 9 acres. Moreover, archaeologists discovered a complex system of water supply, channels and pipes, evidence of the high level of technological development of this city. The discovered ceramic artifacts, weaving looms, and various tools clearly demonstrate that Paphos was a center of trade and craftsmanship, especially in textile production. All of this indicates that it was one of the most important trading cities of its time. However, the most intriguing question is why such a carefully designed and wealthy city was completely submerged by the sea and was never rebuilt or restored in the subsequent centuries. This issue continues to puzzle scholars and archaeologists. Researchers have already made many attempts to unravel its mystery, hoping to understand why natural forces overtook human achievements and what exactly led to its complete destruction. Time and nature created here a mystery shrouded in sea fog, which future generations of archaeologists and historians will continue to seek to uncover. In the distant 20th century, specifically in 1990, a team of scientists from the prestigious University of Nottingham decided to undertake a unique research project that later led to significant discoveries, broadening our knowledge of ancient civilizations and their vanished cities. In cooperation with representatives of Greece's Ministry of Culture, these scientists employed the most advanced technologies available at the time: sonar devices and autonomous underwater robots, to create an accurate 3-dimensional map of the submerged ruins of an entire ancient city. Using this method, experts gained the ability to explore the depths of the seabed without the need for physical diving, greatly increasing the chances of discovering new structures. As a result, they identified thousands of previously unknown buildings, including impressive halls, wide streets, numerous palaces, and cult structures that had previously remained hidden beneath the water. These findings confirmed the hypothesis of a city that experienced significant growth and development over the centuries, beginning from the Neolithic era, the time when the first farming communities emerged, and continuing into the Minoan period, the era when the first large structures were built and trade routes developed. Thus, it was established that this city existed for a long time, witnessing the passage of ages and cultural shifts. However, the lingering mystery pertains to the cause of the city's flooding. The reason for the disappearance and complete obliteration of Paphos remains enveloped in secrecy. In scientific circles, many theories and hypotheses attempt to explain this tragic fate. Some believe that during certain historical periods, especially around a millennium BCE or in the 3rd century CE, a powerful earthquake triggered by massive seismic waves caused a significant landslide and even subsidence of parts of the Earth's surface. Such a geological shift could have led to the collapse of coastal lines and consequently to the flooding of the city. The support for this version is the well-known case of flooding in the neighboring Peloponnesus region, which is known for its high seismic activity and frequent earthquakes. Other scientists tend to believe that the cause lies in the gradual rise of sea levels worldwide, as well as in long-term subsidence and settling processes of land areas. Historical sources indicate that at the time of Pavlopetri's founding, the city was located at an altitude of about 3 meters above sea level, enough for life and development at that time. However, by 12 years before our era, the water level began to rise slowly but relentlessly, threatening the existence of the city. Many researchers associate these changes with global climate fluctuations that occurred then, leading to temperature increases and sea level rises. Some legends that have endured to this day mention the sunken Atlantis, a mythical continent that, according to tradition, disappeared beneath the water more than 3,000 years ago. It is possible that the existence of Pavlopetri and the stories of lost civilizations mentioned by Plato are connected in some way. Though most modern scientists regard such theories as interesting but more likely coincidental. One popular hypothesis is that the reasons for the city's disappearance might have been related to human actions. During its existence, there were serious social and political upheavals, economic crises, as well as wars and invasions, such as the Darius invasion, which could have forced residents to abandon the city before it was fully engulfed by the waters of the ocean. It is also possible that some of the population managed to escape, taking with them important knowledge and treasures, while others vanished forever, submerged under the water. Pavlopetri is not just the ruins of a long-extinct city. It is a kind of window into the past, a unique relic of antiquity that helps us understand what society was like 5,000 years ago. Here, constructions testify to a developed and complex society with a high level of maritime trade and economy. Architectural solutions, water supply, and sewage systems indicate that the people possessed advanced knowledge and organization. One could argue that people of that time might have lived solely in simple villages. But these notions of primitiveness are essentially outdated, as each new layer of archaeological finds confirms a high level of civilization. Nevertheless, the incredible mystery remains as to why this noisy city suddenly became uninhabited and abandoned. Why, despite all their achievements, did the inhabitants choose to leave rather than fight to save it? Did they encounter a catastrophe they could not prevent? Or was the city ultimately swallowed by the sea forever? And how many similar cities, hidden beneath the waves, continue to hold their secrets and lie in silence at the bottoms of seas and oceans, awaiting their time, once again becoming part of the world accessible for exploration? To this day, despite the facts and archaeological evidence, the city of Pavlopetri faces a number of threats. Environmental pollution, illegal antiquity hunting, and the impact of tourists. Even though this site has been granted international protection under UNESCO programs, it remains vulnerable to human influence and destructive factors. This man-made monument of the past serves as a reminder of the fragility of human heritage and the necessity of preserving historical sites. Likewise, mysterious signs and symbols discovered in Australian waters, more than 300 enigmatic symbols, some resembling Egyptian hieroglyphs, tell stories of sunken ships, divine beings, and vanished princes as if frozen in time, bearing witness to eras long gone. How they ended up thousands of miles away from Giza and ancient Egypt on the shores of Australia remains one of the most intriguing mysteries of our time. It all began in the 70s of the last century when a local surveyor and adventurer named Dash decided to explore rock formations near a small town called Korong, about 60 kilometers north of Sydney. Soon, he was drawn to mysterious carvings and symbols etched directly into the stone boulders, enigmatic signs whose age and origin remained unknown. From that moment, this extraordinary story began, ongoing to this day, prompting scientists and explorers around the world to seek answers to the mysteries hidden beneath the surface of land and water in the most unexpected corners of our planet. This region, renowned for its rich history and unique archaeological monuments, once gained fame for numerous rock engravings left by the ancient Guringai people. These ancient drawings, now studied by renowned researchers, had long attracted scientists and history enthusiasts, demonstrating a deep connection between the people and this place, as well as their spiritual perception of the world around them. However, a recently discovered symbol, carved by a modern researcher named Dash, differed radically from all previously found images. It was engraved on two tall sandstone walls, each rising about 1.5 meters above the ground, creating a striking visual effect. More than 300 different signs and symbols were found on these walls, which in style and content resembled Egyptian hieroglyphs, evoking both wonder and curiosity among those who saw them. Among the drawings, one could distinguish images of the god Anubis, known for his associations with the underworld and burial rituals, as well as symbols of a ship, indicating the importance of maritime travel and peaceful water routes for ancient peoples. Furthermore, among the hieroglyphs, the name of the famous Egyptian pharaoh Khufu appeared, who was renowned for building the magnificent pyramids at Giza along the Nile, serving as a symbol of the power and sovereignty of ancient Egypt. The evidence that these images were not just coincidental lay in the fact that Dash repeatedly revisited them, with each new attempt revealing increasingly detailed and previously unidentified features. This prompted him to seriously consider whether this discovery indicated the existence of symbols from a very ancient period, or rather, whether it was a modern joke or even a hoax created in recent years to artificially give the illusion of antiquity. News of the hieroglyphs at Gofford spread quickly among local scholars, archaeologists, and puzzle enthusiasts. The carving itself was located in a narrow, barely accessible crevice in the rock, which could only be reached with difficulty by scaling rocky walls or navigating through dense forest. There, one could see the image of an Egyptian fleet caught in a storm, depicting the fate of sailors stranded on a completely unfamiliar and wild coast after a dangerous tempest. The drawings depicted stories involving not only people, but also animals, birds, dogs, owls, as well as strange hybrid creatures combining features of different species. All figures on the walls were executed in a style characteristic of ancient Egyptian art, stylized with clear lines and symbols typical of the era of the pharaohs. However, despite this, the signs and symbols appeared disjointed and often inconsistent, complicating their decipherment. Some of them were weathered, worn down by time and weather, while others seemed fresh, as if made just a few months earlier. This relief represented an extraordinary mix of symbols that could be linked to different periods of history and cultures, including marks created over 2,000 years after Khufu's reign, further complicating the task of understanding their true meaning. For decades, scientists and researchers had been trying to decode these symbols, and even in 1983, nearly 30 years after the discovery, they had yet to achieve a definitive result. A specialized graffiti restorer named David Lambert noticed in one of the images that some hieroglyphs looked so fresh that their execution could be attributed to just the past few months. Egyptologists, such as Professor Boyo Ainga from Macquarie University, categorically rejected the possibility of their authenticity and pointed out discrepancies in the symbols used and the grammar of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. They referred to this entire mixture as a chaotic sketch that could have no relation to any real existing culture. Nevertheless, there are also supporters of an alternative hypothesis. Some believe that these signs may indicate an Egyptian expedition, which in their opinion could have taken place around 4,500 years BC and may have reached the shores of Australia. There are scholars trying to establish a connection between the origin of these glyphs and the indigenous peoples of this continent, although their style and writing technique differ significantly. Among many theories, there are some suggesting that these symbols could be the result of contact with extraterrestrials, or represent the legacy of vanished civilizations that left behind mysterious signs, which have yet to be deciphered. The Gosford hieroglyphs, despite lacking concrete proof of their authenticity or links to known cultures, raise numerous questions about our origins and the unresolved mysteries of the past. If we assume that they are merely a hoax or forgery, questions arise. Why spend decades and so much effort creating more than 300 symbols in a remote, rocky area? On the other hand, if these images are truly witnesses to ancient times, an incredible question emerges. How could the Egyptians, having circumnavigated half the globe, reach the shores of Australia without leaving any other traces confirming their presence? Regardless of the answers and likely theories, these mysterious glyphs in Gosford remind us that the history of our planet is filled with unsolved secrets, and that sometimes the most incredible discoveries are the most fragile, because their true meaning remains beyond our understanding. These ancient wall drawings and symbols, left by people who vanished into the mists of ages, continue to intrigue scientists and researchers, reminding us that humans have always sought discoveries and the truth. And in this race to unravel the remaining mysteries, we may someday uncover surprisingly astonishing answers hidden in the memories of our ancient ancestors. Answers that could forever change our perception of the world. Thousands of years ago, in a distant epoch when humanity was only beginning its ascent towards civilization, only hunters and gatherers existed in a simple but harsh way of life. At that time, no one could have imagined that many centuries later, deep within the ancient layers of mountains and rocks, an extraordinary discovery could be concealed, capable of overturning our understanding of ancient history. The mystery we will discuss first appeared in a seemingly mundane situation. A group of adventurers and explorers, armed only with basic tools, set out on an expedition that would forever change their perspectives and leave an unresolved secret for decades. On February 25, 1961, three passionate archaeological enthusiasts, amateur collectors of unusual finds, named Ulysses Lane, Virginia Maxey, and Michael Mixel, went in search of quartz in an area near the legendary mountain whose name was rarely mentioned, near the outskirts of Atlanchi. This mountain rose over 300 meters above sea level, hiding many secrets within its dark depths. Their goal was simple: to examine the rocks and find minerals that could become part of their collection or be used for various industrial purposes. During their search, they came across a peculiar stone that immediately caught their attention. At first glance, it seemed to be an ordinary geode, a common occurrence in the region's rocks. They thought that inside this stone was a sparkling crystal or mineral, which could explain its unusual appearance. However, an irrational feeling, experienced by some of them at first sight, suggested there was more to it. When Michael took a diamond saw, an instrument designed for cutting hard rocks, and tried to split this object in half, something extraordinary happened. His tool, usually capable of easily cutting through stone, nearly broke or got stuck. He encountered something ultra-strong, resistant to normal processing. Instead of the expected sparkling mineral or crystal inside, they found an object reminiscent of something entirely different, a mechanical or technological part. It was a cylindrical item made of white ceramic, resembling a spark plug used in early 20th century automobile engines. It had a neat cylindrical shape, surrounded by a very thin metal rod covered with a layer of hardened clay and fully embedded in fossilized shell. This protruding internal component was encircled by metal rings, creating the impression of a complex engineering design concealed within the natural stone. Later, special X-ray investigations, Essentially, imaging using equipment capable of penetrating the stone structure allowed them to obtain nearly a complete picture of the internal layout of this unusual object. The images revealed metal parts inside, a spring, a ring, and a ceramic core. All of this formed a complex construction, very similar to an old-fashioned automotive spark plug, a device widely used in the early cars of the 20th century. However, the fact that the outer clay surrounding the components, according to experts' estimates, might be around 500,000 years old, became a real shock for all the participants. This meant that the artifact was much older than the era when modern humans appeared. A people who began spreading across the planet roughly 300,000 years ago. In other words, the discovery appeared to be extraordinary. It could be evidence of an ancient technological culture, or more skeptically, the result of a rare natural process. The find was named Kosa. This was its designation in scientific reports and media. The piece of stone itself was petrified clay, containing a soft, six-sided layer, within which was located a ceramic cylindrical device and a very thin metal rod, only 2 millimeters in diameter. What was particularly astonishing was that this metal rod, despite its presumed age of around 500,000 years, showed no signs of corrosion or rust. Moreover, there were metal rings around it, which heightened the impression that we were looking at the remnants of an ancient, possibly technological structure. These details raised numerous questions and various hypotheses. Primarily, how could such a device be embedded inside a stone believed to be hundreds of thousands of years old? Could it have been part of an ancient invention or a lost technology that early humans might not have even imagined? Who could have created such a thing? These questions fueled even more doubts and debates, since explaining such a discovery with standard methods seemed highly unlikely. After the artifact was found, it was sent to an unidentified laboratory, still unnamed by official sources, for comprehensive analysis. In the lab, advanced equipment was used. X-ray imaging confirmed that the interior structure of the object indeed contained metallic elements, very similar to a spark plug, of the same type used in automobile engines at the beginning of the 20th century. Unfortunately, after a limited examination in 1969, the artifact was no longer subject to independent testing. It simply vanished, as if it had dissolved, leaving behind only blurry photographs published in magazines, along with inconsistencies in eyewitness accounts. This circumstance only adds to its mystery and fuels the curiosity of researchers and enthusiasts of ancient secrets worldwide. It was precisely the lack of further investigation that gave rise to numerous theories and hypotheses, which continue to provoke heated debates to this day. For a long time, attempts were made to explain what was happening. Some believed it was the result of natural processes. Certain geologists proposed that the device found was merely a modern spark plug that accidentally ended up inside a clayey rock formed through a natural phenomenon known as concretion. This process involves the rapid accumulation of minerals and sediments around a foreign object, making it appear as if part of a natural layer. Moreover, just a few decades after the discovery in Lake Aous nearby, several other metal objects encased in similar fossilized material, like the Sickle artifact, were found. Skeptics argued that all these findings were merely illusions, natural formations, since there was no firm evidence confirming their age, claimed to be 500,000 years. No authoritative scientific reports validated the antiquity of this artifact. Nevertheless, supporters of the theory that it is the oldest surviving example of technological activity insisted on their point. They believed that the sickle was genuine evidence of long-extinct civilizations capable of creating such devices. This mystery continues to pose a challenge for scientists, still awaiting thorough resolution. Some people suggest that this artifact is incontrovertible proof of an advanced level of ancient technology, existing long before the civilization we currently accept as historically confirmed. They emphasize that such finds could not have appeared by chance and speculate that ancient craftsmen possessed knowledge far exceeding modern understanding, often vanished into the deep shadows of history. At the same time, there is a group of skeptics who think that all this is merely a hoax, skillfully crafted by unscrupulous researchers or unintentionally generated by a strange coincidence of circumstances. Nothing more. Despite differing opinions, one clear and undeniable fact remains. It is impossible to verify the authenticity of this discovery. With no original traces or primary documents, and given that the original object was long lost or destroyed, reconstructing its true nature is virtually impossible. The artifact known as Koso remains only in photographs taken in the past, as well as in the memories of those who saw it or heard of it. This unique phenomenon continues to evoke genuine interest and a desire to unravel the mystery behind its enigma. If we assume that this artifact is indeed a modern invention, say an old ignition coil, then the question arises, why was such a valuable and unusual find buried in a rock that appears to be hundreds of thousands of years old? After all, it is unlikely that ancient humans would hide a device like an ignition coil within such ancient rock without a compelling reason. On the contrary, it would be reasonable to suppose that such discoveries could serve as important historical evidence, confirming the existence of ancient civilizations with highly developed technology. If we consider that this is a product of technologies developed in ancient times, a logical question arises. Why are there no other evidence of such ancient cultures? Why, during archaeological excavations, have no more significant artifacts, complex mechanisms, or other clues been found that confirm the existence of civilizations surpassing our current knowledge? This paradox seems to prompt us to reflect on a secret hidden somewhere deep in history or within the Earth's crust, one that could change everything in our understanding of humanity's past. And if all this is merely a coincidence, a stroke of luck, another crucial question emerges. How is it possible that so many unique details on this artifact fit together so harmoniously and precisely? How could it happen that a one-of-a-kind set of elements and features appearing very complex arose completely by chance? Or is there perhaps some invisible connection creating such astonishing coincidences? Answers to these questions remain beyond our comprehension, because history is full of mysteries often concealed in remote mountains, deep within the Earth's depths, or even in unknown, distant corners of space. Probably many discoveries still lie ahead that could overturn our ideas of the past, disrupt our established dogmas, and provide new keys to understanding those incredible times when processes occurred on Earth that we only faintly suspect. Perhaps there are secrets hidden within history that can lead us far beyond conventional notions and uncover enigmas capable of astonishing even the most seasoned researchers. We thank you for your interest in our stories and tales, as your curiosity motivates us to continue our search and share with you the most exciting discoveries. If these topics truly appeal to you and inspire a desire to delve deeper into the mysteries of antiquity, we are always happy to accompany you on this amazing journey through the labyrinth of human history and its unexplained enigmas. Be sure to share your opinions, reflections, and questions in the comments, because dialogue helps deepen understanding and broaden horizons. Don't forget the importance of paying close attention to new releases and reviews to stay aware of the most intriguing and current findings and theories, revealing the secrets of our past. Until new meetings and unexpected discoveries in the next adventure, which we hope will continue to delight you with its fascinating and educational story.